What's up, guys? I'm LQ. This is the LQ Review. Thank you so much for joining me right here at my YouTube channel. This is where we talk about all the geeky, nerdy stuff that we love to talk about. Movies, video games, comic books, and TV shows. And right now, with the Season 2 of Saved by the Bell reboot coming out on Peacock, I thought that I would take some time and rank the Saved by the Bell seasons. Now, there have been five seasons of Saved by the Bell. Started with Good Morning Miss Bliss. Not 5 seasons, 5 series. There's been 5 Saved by the Bell series. Started with Good Morning Miss Bliss, then it went into Saved by the Bell, and then you had Saved by the Bell the college years, then Saved by the Bell the next class. Now we have the Saved by the Bell reboot, which is really a sequel series. Now, as I'm going through these and ranking these series, there were 2 Saved by the Bell movies. You had the Hawaiian Wedding, and you had Wedding in Las Vegas. The Hawaiian Wedding will be wrapped into the Saved by the Bell main series because that was when it took place. It was about Jesse's father getting married. And then Wedding in Vegas, that's going to wrap into the college series because it really was kind of an ending to that series. So that's where those movies are going to take place. All right, so let's start. Number 5, the worst Saved by the Bell series was Saved by the Bell the Next Class. Now, it was a novel idea, bringing in a rotating cast at Bayside. Mr. Belding would be a constant. They brought Screech in to be his assistant. There were some ties to the original. The opening was very familiar, and the set was very familiar. It looked like Bayside. But at the end of the day, it felt like a cheap carbon copy. Even though there was legitimate connections, even though in a lot of ways it was a legitimate sequel series, it felt cheap. It felt like a pretender. It didn't feel like it belonged as part of the Saved by the Bell lore. It had its moments. Some of the stuff was funny, but it just felt like it was putting on Saved by the Bell clothes, trying to be Saved by the Bell, but it wasn't really Saved by the Bell. Make sense? All right. That's number 5. All right, number 4 is Good Morning Miss Bliss. So Good Morning Miss Bliss was the very first Saved by the Bell series that was on the Disney Channel, and then eventually it was bought by, who was it? NBC? Somebody, maybe it was NBC that bought it. I don't remember, but it was bought by another company and by another studio, and they created a new series out of it. Technically, though, Good Morning Miss Bliss is canon, even though it takes place in Indiana. I think technically it is canon. They just kind of ignore some of that stuff. It lays the groundwork for who Zach Morris is, who Lisa Turtle is, and who Screech is. Those characters stay constant throughout the series. Mr. Belding laid the groundwork for who he was. He stayed constant throughout the series. And it had Haley Mills as Miss Bliss. And we never really saw her again after Good Morning Miss Bliss. They never even really mentioned her. But the show was more about her than it was about the kids. And it was really a vehicle for Haley Mills. And, she brought a certain earnestness to the series, a certain sweetness to the series that when it finally became Saved by the Bell, it had to become something different. Because when it became about the kids instead of about her, the tone changed. And, she got left behind. And that's fine, but I really like the Miss Bliss character. So, Good Morning Miss Bliss, that is number 4. Number 3 is Saved by the Bell, the college years. It ran for 1 season, and one of the challenges that it had was they put it on prime time. Saved by the Bell is always a Saturday morning series, and since the kids were older, they were now in college, they were adults, they put it on prime time thinking that they would get like the 90210 type viewership, type of following, and it never really hit. It was a kids show, and it always kind of stayed a kids show. And even though the college years they tried to be a little more edgy, they were still very safe. They were still very safe, and they never found a primetime audience. And because they never found a primetime audience, it ran for 1 season, and it was an interesting season. It had Kelly getting involved with the professor, Zach finally winning her and proposing. Slater and Screech were rooming with Zach, and it was a true sequel to Saved by the Bell. We were missing some of our main cast members. We didn't have Jesse Spano. We didn't have Lisa Turtle, but it still felt like the next progression of Saved by the Bell, and that's why I think it worked. It wasn't as good as the original series because it was trying to be something different, um, and because of that, it didn't really find an audience, and I think it also alienated a lot of Saved by the Bell fans. But for what it was, I liked it. So that's third. All right, second is the Saved by the Bell reboot. I've got my review of the Saved by the Bell reboot on my channel, season 2. I liked it. I like how it's kind of a parody of wokeness while at the same time being woke. I think that's clever, and I think that's a good way to connect with all sorts of audiences. This is a funny show. It calls back to the original series with reverence. It doesn't discard the original series. There's love there for the source material, and you can tell. In a lot of ways, it reminds me of Cobra Kai, where it focuses on a new group, but the legacy characters are still very much there as well. They're not glorified cameos. They have arcs as well. So I really like the reboot a lot. I do. Call me crazy, but I do. So that's number 2. But number 1 is the original series Saved by the Bell. This is when Saved by the Bell became popular. It was during this time period when it was airing on Saturday mornings. There wasn't a kid my age who didn't love Saved by the Bell. Even when it got weird after Kelly and Jesse left the show and they brought in Tori, even then, and Zach and Slater and Screech and all those guys, for whatever reason, ended up going another year of school after they graduated. They didn't explain any of that, but it didn't matter because it was Saved by the Bell, and it was just this innocent, fun show that tried to push the genre of what Saturday morning shows could be. They tried to tackle important issues, but they did it in such a way that it felt very safe. It felt very sanitized. But for the time period it was happening in, they couldn't have gotten away with anything else. So there's a certain innocence to Saved by the Bell that that I appreciate being a child of that era. So it's number 1. So what was your favorite Saved by the Bell series, and how would you rank the 5 series? Let me know in the comments down below. While you're down there commenting, make sure you subscribe to my channel. And as always, thank you so much for joining me right here at the LQ Review. Till next time, we'll see you later. Hey guys, it's LQ with the LQ Review. Make sure you subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much for joining me.